This is my marketing video. My special guest here is Matthew Prater, and we're going to talk about some nice things about UAT.
Sounds good.
What made you stay with with this university? What I'm saying is about that is like you have like a very strong lab, like I feel like a very strong like laboratory background, like you or teaching background too, because you also taught chemistry.
Yep.
So, oh yeah, and why don't so you loved robotics and then you just decided to teach it, or?
Yeah, it just, it kind of fit. It fit well. Yeah, that's kind of the gist of it is I knew I wanted to go. The chemistry, I didn't want to do chemistry research. I didn't want to, I was tired of chemistry, and I found that the robotics, yeah, I got excited on that. I got excited over that, and that's the real goal, is to do something that I like. And I like the chemistry too, but I really like the robotics and how that fits together. And I see that as an up and coming field, obviously.
Okay, and then so what made you choose UAT to pursue that?
Yeah, well, the big thing, UAT is nice to teach at, because we're small, but we have a lot of leeway. If there's something that I want to cover, I feel is important, I can change the class and cover that. And administration is willing to buy me the equipment I need to do those sorts of things.
That's good.
It gives us, it gives me the options to cover stuff. Like this summer, I teach 211. Have you taken 211 with me, robotics 211, or are you taking it in the middle?
If I probably have, because I've had you for 2 classes for sure.
You had me for 130. Oh, maybe for 211. You didn't have me for 173, right? You had Kendra.
I think I did.
Okay. So maybe you did for 211. Anyway, I'm teaching 211 the middle 5 weeks during the semester. And in the summer, I'd heard about the blue pill. It's by STM, which is a different manufacturer. Everything that we've done has always been microchip or Atmel. So I wanted to strike us out in a new area, and the STM is really fun to program. We can do a lot with it. It's got its own IDE. It's very industrial, and we can get a programming setup for like $8. So I wrote up a couple labs this summer, and I asked administration, hey, I want to add these labs to the course. They said, yeah, go for it. So I could do something in like 2 weeks. I could add some labs and go out in a different area and give something new for the students that I just couldn't do in a Grand Canyon or an ASU environment. It's all kind of locked down in those universities.
That's so cool.
Yep.
I like that. It's kind of like you run your own educational business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. So with that, with projects, like what has been, I know you have projects of your own, right? Mm-hmm. But what's been your favorite projects with students, or what you've taught in your classes, what you kind of like to teach a little bit over and over because it just makes you smile?
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff. I really like the I like teaching the 211, the robotics 211, because with the 211 we do what's called bare metal, where we deal with registers, and we're not using the heuristic languages of like Arduino or things like that. So it's a little more closer to the actual chip. And with that, you have more control, but you also have to spend more time understanding what's going on. So it's tricky, but it's good. You feel like you're doing something industrial. You're doing something in a professional. So I like doing that, and I like seeing, you know, the last project, the final project is where the students come up with a project, and I like seeing what the students come up with, and I like having them, you know, because we work on it throughout the semester. So like halfway through, we're kind of like, hey, what kind of projects are you thinking, and things like that. So it makes it nice to see what comes up with that. And of course, the SIPs are great. We always have good stuff in the SIPs.
Well, with SIPs, and this is a new question I want to present. What should we expect with SIPs when it comes to the robotics degree? How should we tackle it? Or like, what should new students know about the SIPs program when it comes to robotics? There you go.
Okay. Yeah. So the big thing is it has to be something new. It can't be a repeat of something that's out there. Now, it doesn't have to be a big new thing. You can do the same thing, but in a different way, and that's fine. But it has to be something new. And I guess the big thing that I push is when you come up with an idea, Google it. Okay, please Google it. When people come up in their 311 class or whatever the first semester SIP is, and they say, okay, I want to do this idea. And while they're saying it, I'm typing it into the computer. And then they say, okay, here it is. And then I look and there's like three sites that do the same thing. And I'm like, well, here I just posted in the chat 3 different places where they're doing the same thing as this. What makes yours novel? And they're like, well, I didn't see that. You got to Google this stuff. You know, that's the big thing. And, you know, in fact, I have a T-shirt that says, what is it? JFGI is the new RTFM. Now RTFM is read the freaking manual, and JFGI is just freaking Google it. So you know, before, back in the 80s and 90s, when we didn't have the internet, you had to read the manual to understand stuff. And people who were saying, oh, it doesn't work, if you read the manual, then you'd know how to fix it. Now, if it doesn't work, you go on Google. In fact, I think, you know, I'm wearing my, I'd forgotten I had this, but I'm wearing my Stack Overflow, you're my only hope T-shirt. You know, kind of a play on Star Wars and Stack Overflow. You know, you gotta search, and that's a big thing I push students for, is to search these things. You know, look, you know, spend a lot of time on the internet searching it, because you know, 1 hour in the internet is worth, you know, 10 hours of actually doing something and finding out that someone else has already done it. So, you know, that's the big thing I push, is to have it be innovative. And it doesn't have to be a huge project. It just has to be something that hasn't been done before, you know, and it doesn't have to be big. I had one student who came up with a reading reading book nightlight for kids. And basically what it did is we used the M5 Stick C, which is a little finger computer, and then she 3D printed a dragon, and she put LEDs in the eyes to be the light. And what it did is it measured the angle when it was at an angle where it was sitting on the book, you know, looking over, then the kid was reading. And when it wasn't there, then the kid wasn't reading, and it could record this data and send it to a Google Firebase or to a Microsoft Azure or something. And the actual cost of the device was, you know, well, the finger computer was like $8 or something like that. So it's you know, it wasn't a you know, a huge project, but it was something interesting that got the job done, and it was innovative. So, you know, it doesn't have to be big. You know, you don't have to reinvent a new version of the wheel. You know, you just have to get something new that you're doing.
Wow, that's just so cool. I wouldn't even think of that. But that's just unique.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So, so the workload, like, what are like the workload for your robotics classes? Like, how what are the expectations for like new students when they enter your classes? Like, how do you want them to study, or like some like tips that you can give them? Because I know you'd have some.
Yeah. I mean, well, the documentation says what 8 hours a week or something like that, or 10 hours a week for a class outside of the class. I think it's something in that range, um, which would make sense because 4 or 5 class, if it's 8 hours a class and you have 5 classes, that's 40-hour work week. That's full time.
Yeah.
So I could see it being, on a 15-week class, 8 hours a week, versus if you're doing a 5-week class, or a 5-week class, then you got to multiply that by 3, so it's like 24 hours a week because it's the compressed schedule. So I mean, the big thing is dedicate enough time for it. Make sure, ask questions. That's the other thing, asking questions.
Yes.
Yeah, that if you're on ground, show up to class.
Yeah.
That's
Come
that's
on.
huge. I mean, for the online people too, showing up to the meetings, showing up to class meetings, it's a big deal. I mean, some teachers, when they do the online classes, they kind of hold 2 hours of office hours a week or something like that instead of teaching. I think that's kind of a disservice. You really should be getting the lecture the same as the on ground student. And so yeah, so I mean showing up to that, letting me, if no one shows up, I can talk and say anything, and then there's no one there to stop me. If you have someone there who's saying, hey, I don't understand where you're going, or hey, I think this is wrong, or hey, I need more information on it, that's great, because then I'm going to be able to stop. I'm going to be able to give more information. And if one person, they're in person, or they're on the computer, is having a problem with it, you're going to have 3 or 4 or 5 people who aren't there who are going to have the same problem or worse problems because they're not there. So really, showing up to class is a huge thing. And for those professors who don't do a class online, and instead they do like the office hours, pester them with questions. Still show up every week and hammer them with questions. Say, I don't understand this. Can you go through it with me, or something like that? That's, you guys pay a lot for us to be there. Hold us to it, and go from there.
Do you say can you say like Teams has been a good contact resource for a lot of teachers, or
Yeah.
do they feel like they lean towards that, or for their students to go to,
Well,
or
the big thing with Teams is I have Teams on my phone. So if someone sends me a Teams chat message or something like that, I'm going to be able to respond. It's going to happen. Email does good too. Whenever I have a computer on in front of me, which is most of the day, I'll do the email. I'll get the email. The one thing that's really bad, and I wish they'd get rid of it, is the Canvas mail. The one in Canvas. I'm not on Canvas every day, so I don't check that mail every day. It could be 48, it could be 72 hours between checks. So that's really, I wish they got rid of it, because it leads students down a blind alley where they could be thinking, hey, I'm writing this and he's ignoring me. Well, I'm ignoring you because I don't go on there, very much. So, but yeah, I mean, Teams is huge. For students who are on ground, really face to face is huge. If you can get the face to face, do the face to face. Show up. I'm going to be here. I mean, for the online people, I feel bad for you guys, because you're spending as much as the on ground, and you don't necessarily get the face to face. So, but yeah, for the online, Teams Teams is a change. It really gets connections going.
Yes, I know. Like, I would like today. I just barely discovered that we could from Teams like control a presentation together and all that stuff. Like, what? Like, there's just but you know, but that's why I like this school is like I learned just too many new things. There's just so many new things in so many classes.
Changing. It's constantly changing.
It is.
The one thing though with Teams, you can make a call in Teams. If someone's calling me, I always ignore it. So don't, send a text, you could send a text and say, hey, I want to talk, and I'm cool with that. But don't just cold call, don't just call me because I could be doing something else. If you send a Teams chat and say, hey, I want to talk, then that's cool. But just to call me, probably not cool.
Yeah. I believe like the one.
I mean, it would be like I could go through records and find your phone number, but if I just like call you, it's kind of a little creepy.
Well, yeah. Well, like I don't know. I hope I never done that to you.
No. We've always used Teams or whatever else, but and I could do that. But then if I was you, I'd be like, hey, this guy's a little creepy. He's kind of overstepping the bounds here,
Well, yeah, I mean, like, cause it's like disrespectful. I feel like you consider it.
I don't know if I call it disrespectful. It's just kind of like expecting me to be there and be waiting for a phone call or something like that. It's fine. But I mean, the Teams chat works great because then you can fire it off. If I'm around, I'll fire one straight back.
Yeah. So with that, because this is remote stuff right here, like remote versus on campus, the way you teach them, what's the difference? Do you see yourself teaching them differently? Like,
you have to. It's a remote's drinking from the fire hose. I mean, if we had a 15-week class for you guys, it would be great. The 5-week is just, that compressed time frame is just crazy. A lot of times you don't have time to think. You're just doing. You don't have time to think. You have time to do. And you just got to rush from one to the other and we can't spend the time like talking about it or thinking, hey, can we try this or can we try that? We can't because we don't have enough time. We got to get on to the next step. So I mean, I don't know why we do it this way. We could do 15-week online. I don't understand what the killer is. And like I can understand that, but the other thing is the SIP, the online SIPs, because we don't have time to go back, or to really get it underway, because there's 2 classes, so it's like 10 weeks. Versus the on ground, we've got 30 weeks, instead of 10 weeks. So there's a lot of chances to do stuff, and we're trying to come up with something innovative, and to do it in 10 weeks is really, really tough. It's a tough deal. So I mean, we got to do it because that's what administration makes us do. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. That's the way it is. That's the way we got to handle it. But yeah, I guess that's, so SIPs are tough. Doing the classes like the 100 level stuff, that's fine, not a big deal. But the 200, 300, 400, it really gets tough to try to push the knowledge. And it's not just pushing the knowledge, it's not just delivering the knowledge to you, but it's giving you the time to absorb the knowledge, and a lot of times that really can't be done easily. I mean, it is what it is, and we got to do it. And there's stuff that we teach in the 15-week that we don't teach in the 5-week, just because we can't get it in there. It's not, it's the same general stuff, but then like in the 102, we do we do classes and things in the HTML class. We do classes. We don't cover classes in the online. So
okay.
we're we're stuck with what we're stuck with. But I really wish it could be different. And that's the other thing too. What I'm pushing for next year, every summer I come up with a new class or do something new. And what I want to do next summer is, and I've been pushing it for administration for the last couple of years. I want to take Robotics 131 and divide it into 2 classes and make the first class be a pure basic electronics class. Right now, all we talk about is a couple passive components. We talk about a couple of ICs, and we talk about like resistors, capacitors, diodes. Yeah. But we don't talk about op amps. We don't really talk about NPN transistors. We don't talk about MOSFETs. So what I'd do is I'd have us do like an electronics class first semester, and then second semester do a pure digital logic. And what I do with the pure digital logic is I'd bring in an FPGA, which is a field programmable gate array. And with that, you can actually program gates in the chip. It's entirely modular, and you could say, I want this to be connected to this gate, and this gate to, and this input to be connected to the same gate, an AND gate or an OR gate, and you can you can actually design it through software and then burn it into the chip, and then you got a chip that has your gate. So you can create the 4-bit adder, but what it is it's not a whole bunch of chips, it's the actual gates. So you get closer to what they do when they create the microchips, because they're just laying transistors, and they're connecting them together to do specific functions. So that second half, we would get more into FPGAs, and they actually have simulators so that we wouldn't even have to buy them. We could just run a simulator on it and then count that. I mean, you lose that on the wiring and stuff, but that's okay because we got the electronics for wiring. So that's what I'm hoping to do next year, is split up the 131 into 2 classes.
Well, how would that be with credits? Like, how would you make that?
I don't know. That's not my job.
I was like, sorry. I was like, how would that look like with credits?
Well, I mean, my deal is then you take away, you don't take a Python class or something like that, or you don't
just adding another possible robotics class.
Yeah, or instead of doing an astronomy class, you have to do an extra robotics class. The other thing too is a real blocker for 131, to get students in robotics 131, is the college algebra. Because when they go through high school, a lot of them don't have college algebra. So you come here, your first semester, you have to take college algebra. If you have the electronics first semester, you don't need algebra for the electronics. And then the second semester, when you do need the algebra for the logic, you can take algebra your first semester and then take your second robotics class second semester. So it lines up. There's a lot more ways of lining it up. And then what we could do is we could take away one of the side classes and say you have to take an extra robotics credit or something. We're still talking the same under 3 years scenario, but it would just be, you couldn't take it would take away one of the non-core classes and make it a robotics class.
So like probably like less general and more degree specific classes. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think what do they call it when you take a class that isn't in your major? What's that called when you're just taking it for fun?
Oh, I don't know.
It's like a general credit or something like that.
Yeah. That would be great because like there's like I feel like whenever I'm the 5-week ones that it's so crammed. Yeah. And I'm like, I wish there was a class specifically for this language.
Yeah.
Like and then this class to like the microchip one for sure. Get one just specifically on the language and then the hardware where you have an idea of the language and then bring it to hardware or something.
And that's the deal with the electronics class. That would be 5 weeks just on electronics. Right now, we spend 2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks is not enough time for electronics to push electronics. So, and I mean, and that's the deal. Even for the on ground, we spend 7.5 weeks. But to do a 15-week and be able to really understand what's going on with electronics, that's huge.
Yeah, for real.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope your class stuff works out because it sounds cool, and I feel like it would kind of just elaborate more to people instead of us throwing all this stuff of what's this component, what's this component. I don't know. And then I know, of course, Googling it, but then I can understand there may be people with different how they
learning styles.
Learning styles
well, and to try to Google electronics is tough, versus having it in front of you. They can make drawings and stuff, but it's not the same as having it in front of you.
Yeah, they basically look at it and they're like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Because I have those moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, okay, Mr. Prater. That's all I have for you.
Okay.
I'm happy that I love what you've said. I love that you emphasize your concerns, and I just love the information you gave. I hope I get to see this stuff in the marketing videos that they have. So, but I'm still gonna edit this and send you a copy so you could just have one of our meeting because I like because
yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. Absolutely. I mean, I didn't talk. I love UAT, and I'm not like talking them down about the 5-week class.
No. Well,
we're just kind of.
Like I said, you gave emotion, passion,
yeah. Because I
love it.
Because I want you guys to get jobs, and I want you guys to learn. And trying to teach in 5 weeks is tough. That's all it is. And especially for like a topic like electronics, where it's so much different than what you deal with on a daily basis. When you're cooking or eating or cleaning, you don't deal with electronics. You don't deal with that. Yeah. So it's kind of a different area that you don't normally deal with, and to only have it for 5 weeks makes it tough. Especially with electronics only being 2.5 weeks, it really makes it tough. That's all.
I know, sir, and that's why I'm saying I appreciate how passionate you are, and it's good. It really is.
Yeah. Well, all right.
All right, sir. Well, you have a good night.
You too. Thanks a lot.
Stay safe. Get some good sleep.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Bye-bye.